Hey everyone, welcome to another live stream. I'm going to be talking about our recent hirings for the Dallas Cowboys organization. We recently hired two new coaches. Our head coach, first and foremost, is Mike McCarthy, and we just hired another Mike Nolan. And I'm going to go ahead and invite Space Cowboy 17 in this StreamYard so I can, get our thoughts and discussions on this. So here it goes. I'm going to send him a link. Hopefully you got it, Rick. Hopefully you got it, man. Anyways, for those who are going to show up or who will show up, me and Space Cowboy 17 are going to have some discussions on why we think this is actually a really solid hire for the organization, because we need a change. We need to go in a different direction because we need some accountability. We need some discipline, some anything you name it, something that can better fit our players scheme wise. And we got a defensive coordinator. The question is with Nolan, I don't know if he's going to be running a 4-3 or 3-4. I like to think he could run maybe a hybrid of both of those defenses because I think we might have the talent to do so. But it all depends on whether or not the players are going to fit that scheme, whichever one that Nolan's going to go with. And there's also a question of whether Richard's really going to come back or not. So, but we'll see. I sent Space Cowboy 17 the link, and hopefully he'll get here. Okay, let's see. Love to have 1980 in here, for sure. Love to hear his thoughts, but I kind of heard it on his recent video. Eastside Herald, Houston Texans Nation, stand up. Well, congrats to the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson really showed why he was a quarterback or why he was drafted. So, but the truth is, can they beat the Chiefs? It's possible, but we'll see. Surprised you didn't say Houston motherfucking Texans all day. So that's usually the East Side Herald staple right there. The quote of the day. Okay. Got two people in here. They've done before. Beat Kansas. Okay, so it's possible they might do it again. But Patrick Mahomes is a pretty good quarterback. Because Patrick Mahomes is definitely better than Josh Allen, who might be a good quarterback at some point. But I have to admit, Josh Allen still has some issues to work on, like going back and trying to back away and getting sacked. That was a really stupid move by him, but who knows? Maybe he'll learn from it, maybe he won't. But he kind of has that gunslinger mentality like Tony Romo had, so yeah. And I don't know if you're familiar with each other, East Side and Oiler Greg. They're Texans. Oh, yeah, he is. Don't know what you're referring to, so were you referring to Josh Allen being a gunslinger? I guess that's what you meant. I'm surprised that Space Cowboy 17 has yet to. Where the hell is you? Where the hell are you at, man? We got 5 people watching. Am I happy? I am. I definitely think that okay, Patrick Mahomes, yeah, he is a damn good quarterback. Am I happy? I mean, anybody but Garrett. Exactly. Rest in peace, Mr. Clapper. Yeah, Mr. Clapp can go catch the clap somewhere else for all I fucking care. He can clap his way out of the fucking league, and I don't know if anyone's going to hire him. They might hire him as a positional coach, but I don't know if they're going to. I wonder if New York will be stupid enough to actually hire him as a head coach. If they do, well, we'll see what happens. Okay. Pretty sure that you got my message. I sent a link. Ron Smith in the house. Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback. He can throw some footballs in different ways. That's what I like about him. But I'm a Cowboys fan and been a Cowboys fan all my life. I understand. But I wonder if, should we get, a few extra picks? Do you think we should still go after another quarterback just in case if Dak doesn't exactly fit, McCarthy's offense, the West Coast offense? I think it can be. I like to think Dak can fit that. He just might have to recognize some different concepts, but at least as long as he keeps the same wide receivers, I think he'll be okay. But I know that McCarthy's going to at least work on improving footwork and accuracy and all that other good stuff. Yeah. Roxy, that bitch Roxy. Okay, Roxy. That bitch Roxy. Who was? I don't even remember now. And Brando, the Dallas Cowboys replaced Ron Marinelli and Chris Richard and have hired Mike. Well, that I knew about, but I don't know I hopefully Rob Marinelli is going to be away from this defense. Dinosaur Marinelli needed to be gone some time ago. Richard, I don't know if I would even want him back as a secondary coach. But where the hell's Space Cowboy 17? I sent him the link. What the hell's going on? Dak may improve under a new coach, but beware a huge contract from He's great. He can still be okay. He was doing okay with Alan Hearns and guess who was Beasley was still there. Gallup was still there, but technically he was a rookie. So yeah. Where the hell is he? Do I need to put it in the chat for him to come on? He's able to come on here before, so okay. He's good. He just had to grab a few things. He'll eventually show up. So let's see. If Houston loses another playoff game, or if they win, do you still want to retain Bill O'Brien, or would you go after someone else? Because I know some people are not. I can understand why some people are not a fan of Bill O'Brien, because he's had maybe 2 decent seasons at best, and before then he didn't really have all the good seasons. So I'm gonna look up Bill O'Brien, just for the heck of it. Come on, don't do that. Okay, here we go. I mean, what do you think of Bill O'Brien as a head coach? He's here. And welcome, Space Cowboy 17.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. I was just bringing up, there's a couple of Houston Texan fans in here. Oler, Greg, and Eastside Herald. I was wondering what they thought of Bill O'Brien as a head coach. Whether if should he be retained if they win or lose a playoff game?
Me personally, as an NFL fan, I think that Bill O'Brien can do a lot better. But considering the fact that he has, I think, he now has 2 playoff wins under his belt. But the thing is, right? And I'm not super, so don't act me as an expert. Let me just look him up really quickly, because I don't want to act like because I know him because he coached Penn State, and I'm a Penn State fan. Okay, so he's been with the Texans for now going on 5 years now.
His record is actually 52 and 44. Just read off on that.
I mean, true. And the thing is for me, Bill O'Brien, I think the issue was he never had a quarterback that he could rely on until he got Deshaun Watson, who's a fine quarterback. So me personally, I think that Bill O'Brien has done enough to retain his job, but this is the same thing like with Garrett. I'm not saying he's like Garrett, but I'm saying like, okay, he needs to win a couple playoff games to say that he's the guy. He's won a bunch of division titles, but he hasn't won, he hasn't gone far. So I think that he should be retained, but in the next stint, if he doesn't lead this team to a championship, then he has to go. That's just kind of how I always think of it.
Yeah.
But,
I feel like maybe they need a better defense overall because Watt's getting old, and I don't know. Maybe just the D line I think needs improvement. I don't know if it's just me or their linebackers or whatever's holding Houston back. It seems like
the thing that I noticed, because I watched the wild card game and they can't afford to do what they did against the Bills because their offense looked lethargic, their defense looked tired, but they woke up at the right time to win. And that's the thing is like I think that listen, it's Deshaun Watson's second playoff game. And I like Deshaun Watson. I'm not trying I'm being honest. So I think that if I was a Texans fan, I'd be pleased from what I'm seeing and I mean, hey, you know what? They revamped their offensive line. I think that, you just got to give them time, I think. What's going on, Ron Smith?
Yep. It's interesting. Now, going back to the Cowboys, I think we at least got we got a coach that was in the top 5. That's what I think. I think overall this was a very solid hire for the organization. I think it's really going to help Dak out in terms of footwork and accuracy. And there was something else, but maybe I can't think of off the top of my head. What else do you think what can help up Dak? At least in some certain routes. I know that's going to be a West Coast offense.
I think anticipation to know when to throw and when to run. I think that's something he's going to learn. And a lot of people were saying, well, Mike McCarthy usually when because I was listening to reports and people were like, well, Mike McCarthy, he's coming from teams that had a bunch of potent passers, so he's going to turn Dak into that. Listen, from what I'm hearing, he's never had a player like Zeke before in the running game. Yeah. And if you watched Mike McCarthy, he's been known to use a lot of his backups in terms of running backs and stuff like that. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of Pollard and maybe even a possible third string running back that we might end up, not just like, I don't know what he's going to do with the fullback position. That I'm actually curious to see. Like, are we going to use Olawale a lot more in that regard? Because you got to understand, and you probably know that, like, for the people that don't know, it's like Mike McCarthy gets the best out of the talent that he has for the most part. And you could see that.
Yeah. So. What was I going to say? McCarthy has had some decent running backs. I mean, he had Ryan Grant, who was undrafted, and he managed to have a few. He had at least several 1,000 yards rushing in McCarthy's offense before. And Andy Lacy could have been a good back, but apparently he really got lazy and decided to eat his way into the league or something, or become out of shape.
No, but I do. What's kind of interesting is that I don't think people realize that also, what's his face? Mike McCarthy actually worked with Joe Montana when he was in Kansas City. He's worked with Brett Favre. He's worked with Aaron Rodgers. He's worked with the best of the best. I remember vividly when Aaron Rodgers came out of the draft and the Packers took him. A lot of people were saying that Rodgers was not going to succeed in the NFL, and it's just like, oh, it was a wasted pick and stuff like that. But again, I'm not saying Mike McCarthy is 110% responsible for all of the successes that happened in Green Bay, but you have to understand also that Mike McCarthy is one of the most successful coaches over the past decade. He's only trailing Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton, Bill Belichick. I think those are the only ones in terms of wins.
You mentioned, Brando mentioned this. Belichick, Tomlin, and Payton. So,
Brando asks, "Do you think we go best coach out of all the coaches out there?"
At least the ones that are available, I think so.
I mean, I think that's what the Cowboys were doing. And a lot, it's funny. I was watching some other people say, oh my God, why are we getting the reach? Now, listen, I will be upfront with you. I'll admit when I'm wrong. Like, at first, I wanted to go through I wanted the college coaches, not Lincoln Riley, but the more potent experience. Like Urban Meyer, yeah. And then, I was like, let me watch this documentary on Mike McCarthy because they were interviewing him. I'm
Hmm.
watching it and I'm like, wow, Mike McCarthy really grew himself, in terms of his game and like evolving it.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that the Cowboys, you got to realize also that and I know I'm saying a lot, but like I just find it hilarious how people like want to bash the hire. And I'm gonna talk about that in a moment. But we had that young coach to come in with no coaching experience, like the hot shot. That was Jason Garrett 10
Hmm.
years ago. I
Yeah.
remember people were saying, "Oh, he's the whiz." He was getting interviewed with the Ravens, the Falcons. I think there was a couple other teams he got interviewed, and he kept staying because he knew that the only reason that I think, and I'm gonna actually cover this in my video talking about Jason Garrett, is that
Hmm.
Jason Garrett stayed, and the only reason it paid off was because the Cowboys were worried. Like it was like when if you're familiar with what happened in Tampa Bay with Dirk Cutter and the Lovie Smith situation, they were afraid to lose Dirk Cutter, so they fired Lovie Smith to promote him.
Hmm.
Like I think when we look back at it, and this is we got to wait and see what happens with McCarthy. But assuming, let's say McCarthy ends up winning a championship with this team in like
Hmm.
4 years, I'm not expecting a championship 2020. I'm expecting a building block. That's what I'm kind of
Yeah.
looking for. But if he wins a championship, and then we look back on this 10 years, we'll be like, well, Jason Garrett was literally, and hell, we might see with another team with Jason Garrett.
Hmm.
And I heard he might go to the Giants. So I think he
Yeah.
will. And
Yeah.
but I mean, I saw your video on the hire, and I saw you more or less liked it. Well, what was it? The experience that won you? What won you over with him? Was it the experience?
Yeah, because when you think about it, I like to think he's like maybe kind of a lesser version of Bill Parcells. But hey, at least he went to the Super Bowl. He has a good playoff record, 10-8. That's pretty decent, considering his age and the fact that he was able to develop Rodgers. Because when he was drafted, he really didn't do much, or if he did, he
Yeah.
didn't do very well. And but a lot of people like Randall Cobb and even Brett Favre has come out and say that he's a damn good coach, considering what happened with Favre and the drama back in 2008 whenever it was decided that supposedly he was going to retire, and then he decided I'm retire when McCarthy decided they were going to commit to Rodgers at that time. So yeah, but McCarthy, the fact that he has a good amount of experience, the fact he was mainly a quarterback coach for a good part. Like he was with, like you said, with Kansas City, from what I've read. He was with the Packers originally back in
Yeah,
'99.
it was a while back.
And he actually was the offensive coordinator for the Saints actually from 2000 to 2004, and he was actually under Mike Nolan for his offensive coordinator in 2005. So it's funny how we're now getting Mike. Now it's reversal. Mike Nolan's now the defensive coordinator, and now we have McCarthy as the head coach. So, but I
Yeah.
think, like you said before, McCarthy understands football. He understands the analytics of football and knows how to uh, I think, better prepare for opponents and knows how to utilize a running game, a passing game, just certain routes, familiarity with players, offensive linemen. I'm wondering more likely. I think Colombo might stay, but I'm pretty sure he'll teach some good knowledge about that. And from understood, apparently, I didn't watch this, but apparently he actually, I guess, looked at some of the recent offensive plays, especially from Kellen Moore, and he seemed to like some of his concepts. I guess that's what it was, and that's why he decided to retain Kellen Moore. From what I've understood, it looks like Kellen Moore is going to stay.
Yeah.
But anyway, slice it. I think he is going to be at least unpredictable. I've heard rumors that sometimes he's kind of similar, like he's stubborn or supposedly unwilling to adjust like Garrett. But I think he can adjust a heck of a lot better compared to Garrett, who's not willing to adjust. And I'm wondering if at times last year, the only times that even we did adjust, I'm wondering if it was really more than adjusted, or maybe Garrett decided to let loose on the leash on more. I don't know, but anyway, slice it. I know that we're going to be effective in this system. I think we are going to see some things. We're going to be using a lot more play action. For example, we're going to be using a
Mhm.
lot more play action for sure, because I think we only use 20% of that. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know the numbers, but from what I'm hearing, and this is the biggest aspect of this hire, is the
Hmm.
Cowboys front office is letting him assemble the staff. They
Yeah,
might
they're
make
letting, oh yeah, they're letting him,
suggestions,
yeah,
but so think about it. Mike McCarthy wanted Mike Nolan to be his defensive coordinator.
back in Green Bay.
He huh?
You mean back in Green Bay or as of right
No,
now?
now, like
Okay.
literally, there was a report that came out. I forget who. They said basically that he was one of Mike McCarthy's targets, and now since the Saints lost, he's here, but he was going to be
Hmm.
here anyway. And I don't think a lot's going to change schematic. Well, he likes running the 4-3 from what I'm hearing, but I do think he brings an intensity that I hope
Uncle
to.
David Mosh.
Hey, what's going on, Mike Mush? But I'm taking a look really quickly just to see. And I think what makes Mike McCarthy, and this is kind of what opened my mind to consider him, was after I watched that not the document, like the interview with that Mike McCarthy project, when
Yeah, it
he
was with
talked
Peter
to,
King, right?
yeah, and he talked about what he needed to do better, and he kind of like, I think the year off really helped him
Yeah, I think he
because
needed to recharge his batteries, kind of like what Andy Reid needed to do. And now again, guess what? Andy Reid's having really good success in Kansas City.
you know what's funny, man? I really when we hired him, I woke up this morning, I saw it on my phone, and I thought about it. I'm like, this feels so much like the Andy Reid hire with Kansas City
Mm-hmm.
because like and getting what I was going to allude to earlier was that when he was in Green Bay, it was very comparable except he won a Super Bowl. Um he had a lot of success. He's one of the most, other than Vince Lombardi and etc.
I think with McCarthy's guidance, I think he'll have a good understanding of what can work in the offense and what in the West Coast system, and probably better utilize play action and go with what's working, whether it's the run or the pass option. So yeah, I don't think Kellen will be crap. I'm thinking McCarthy will be a much better teacher in comparison to Garrett
And
since he has years of experience.
yeah, and again, like he wants to build his staff. If he thinks Kellen Moore is going to be a bright offensive mind, then that's him. That's the biggest thing. But getting back to what I was saying, eventually his time ran out because guess what? All the good things are going to come to an end. And what ended up happening was he decided to part ways, and he did say he was trying to implement analytics a bit towards the end of his tenure. And I
Who,
found
Garrett?
no. McCarthy. He talked about it. He said, "Oh, we were
Mm-hmm.
trying to do it the last 3 or 4 years. Unfortunately, things didn't work out." But what's weird is that, like, you know, let pass Jason Garrett.
Yeah,
No, but
he probably couldn't get it in the sack good enough, and he had to take a look at the film and process it.
yeah. Well, listen. He but what was it? Okay, so my whole thing is like with him using the analytics and him looking back on it, like you mentioned, he needed to recharge his batteries. I think he's good to go. And listen, he wants this opportunity. You know, the numbers don't lie. Lenahan tendency just because the record doesn't indicate how well an offense does. There's a thing called the eye test, and statistically speaking, the jump from Lenahan to Kellen Moore, like you went from like the 17th or 16th best offense to number one statistically speaking. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I guarantee you, if Dallas had the ball bounce a couple ways, they could be a 12-4 team. If you
Yep.
know, like
I just hope that McCarthy can also teach on the importance of catching a football because we led the league in drops. I think we were what 30 or maybe even close to 40 plus in drops. It's crazy.
that's bad. I mean, and
I'm wondering.
considering
I know
that,
that my Cowboys fiance even mentioned something about she wasn't a fan of Sinjay Lau being stuck around. Do you honestly would you retain him or no? I disagree with her.
I'll get onto that comment in just a second.
Okay.
I don't. I'm kind of indifferent with Sanjay Lal because, to be honest with you, he's when I remember covering him, uh, what was it? He had only one 1,000-yard receiver, and that was Sammy Watkins in his time in Buffalo as a
Mm-hmm.
receiver coach. So it all comes down to what Mike McCarthy wants. If he thinks he fits the mold, that's up to him. But again, like
And guess
this is
who's in the house? Mosh himself.
yo Mike Mosh, what's up?
What's up? What's up?
Nothing, just talking some Cowboys football here.
Yeah, I'm
Kellen was,
excited.
I'll admit he wasn't the best coach, but come on, you can't blame Kellen Moore. I mean, how do you feel about Garrett, Ben Baker? How do you feel about Garrett? Is he a good coach in your mind? No, he fucking sucked. He needed to get the clap out of the fucking system. That's for damn sure.
And there it is, Mike. You know, I actually using analytics myself because it's really easy to do. Jason Garrett average. Now, I took out the 2010 season because you
Well,
can't
he was
really
a good
count it.
quarterback coach. I agree, Ben, but Kellen Moore was a good offensive mind, but he was going to have some growing pains. There was no question about it. So
Yeah, I mean, like you can't say the quarterback coach. Like you can argue he was part of that, but he
Mhm.
was not. He's not the reason
yeah, he's
why
still
the
calling
offense was
Garrett's
number one.
playbook. So yeah,
Like you know what I mean. But getting what was I gonna say? Yeah. So, looking at it analytically speaking, Jason Garrett since 2011 averaged 8.8 wins. How ironic. Yes, 8.8 wins. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in 9 seasons, he made the playoffs 3 times, winning
Yeah,
only two
just three.
playoff wins.
It should have been
Compared to
more.
Mike McCarthy, he averages I think it was like 9.6 wins a season, and in the 13 years he coached in Green Bay, or 12 and a half, whatever you want to call it, 9 times he made
He's
the
going to be
playoffs.
offensive-minded red
Eight
shirt.
straight. 8 straight times he's made the playoffs. 9 times in total. Plain and simple. I mean, it's just like when you have a coach that's made the playoffs more times than your previous coach has had in terms of years of coaching. Come on, now. I mean, he's a much better coach, and I mean, like, people will say the whole dynamic of, well, he's tied to the hip of Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that. And and John Kinnisley, no, he's not, because if you look at it statistically speaking, John Kinnon is not responsible for the receivers doing well. He's not responsible for
I
the
agree with
running
you.
back.
Cowboys going horns.
Yeah, yep, exactly. McCarthy's a winner bottom line. I mean, he was probably the best. No, not he was probably. He was the best coach on the market.
Well, it was probably Kellen's inexperience and Lindheim being a bit of a dumbass and being stubborn and kind of like a way he's kind of like archaic like Garrett. He would get conservative, but he was not. He was really just predictable and just. I mean, what would you say the problem was with Lindheim?
Linehan?
Yeah, would you say he was too conservative as well and just
It was too vanilla, and
Yeah,
I think. Well, here's the thing. Jason Garrett, as the head coach, he has a directive that he wants to do week in and week out. That is his job as the head coach. And
Mhm.
he will talk to his offensive staff and his defensive staff to be like, okay, what's the game plan going into this week? And so the thing is like when you have someone that has a bland vanilla offense
Mhm.
where that is going under a conservative game plan, that's a recipe for disaster. And I think that and looking at it in hindsight, right? I think that with the Cowboys missing the playoffs, they've gotten to this position. Okay, if we had made the playoffs, based on how Jerry was trying to fire Jason, I don't know if we would have let him go. But I would rather we had in the short term face this disappointment, but in the long term have a window that allows us to succeed.
I don't know if he will clean house or not. I'm pretty sure he'll retain Cobb. The question is he going to retain Cooper?
Let's get Mosh here. Mosh, how do you feel about this McCarthy
Mosh,
hire?
I'd like to hear your thoughts, man. How do you feel about McCarthy and Nolan? Or McCarthy?
You guys know me. I was a ABG, anybody but Garrett. Basically, other than Marvin Lewis, obviously, and Fisher and the dumb coaches. But we want Montana 808. He's upset, but there's people saying why did we do it so fast? We got the clapper out of here. I don't know why Cowboy fans are complaining. Garrett's gone.
Can you just stop with the whole Kellen Moore bullshit, or I'm going to have to time you out, or I'm going to have one of my mods time you out?
Yeah, I'm about ready to go TTC on Ben Breaker over there.
Yeah, it's kind of like, come on, dude, really? I mean,
he's kind of trolling, to be honest, and
yeah. Anyways, go ahead. Really? So you were anybody but Garrett, and then like Did you have anyone you said just you didn't care who it was? It was just
I'm not a NCAA guy, so I mean I don't know a lot about.
Space Cowboy, type something in the chat just for a second, okay? Just type anything.
Hey, you can mod my boy Brando over there as well. 6371, they're all good people.
I know. Okay, but go ahead, Mosh.
Space Cowboy about to get modded up.
Now mod Space Cowboy.
Let me time out Space before he gets a wrench.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got Brando and Space Cowboy as mods now, so there you go.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, but you look at the numbers, you know, that Garrett was here this many years and only went to the playoffs like 3 times, and it's like McCarthy, playoffs. We want playoffs. We want to get to that NFC championship game, and he's been there. He's going to have a upgrade because of our O-line and our run game. So overall, it's a good move, man. I'm not upset. I ain't crying. I'm clapping. Yeah, Garrett's gone.
Oh yeah.
We got a coach with some diehard NFL experience. I love the defensive coordinator.
Oh, you definitely like Mike Nolan for sure, Mosh. It's funny. We have Mike, and now you're. I'm pretty sure you like the Mikes for sure.
I'm actually I'm trying to look and see like how like the statistics in terms of like how well between Garrett and McCarthy.
Guys, not to interrupt. If you think about it, you know, like he beat Dallas a couple times, and he's gonna be like, man, if I was them, I would have done this to stop us. So it's like, oh man, the Cowboys could have done this, but I'm glad they didn't do this, or I knew they were doing this, that's why I did this. It's like, so I mean, he's gonna bring in a lot of experience, man, and he knows what he's did wrong, he knows what he's did right. He's gonna love our O-line and run game. Zeke, I know that for a fact.
Yeah. Also, he's 5-2 against the Eagles, from what I've heard.
He has a really good record against. Well, he has a good record against the. He's 5-2 against the Eagles. I think he's like 4-3. I gotta look it up because like
he's 7-3 against us. That's for sure. And he's remained undefeated against us at home.
Hey, listen, man, you can't beat it down. Just no, but like I'm looking at his like he has a pretty good resume. I mean, he's had a bunch of top 10 offenses, and they both coincided with not only points but yards as well. It's not like, you know, one of those situations. Looking at his defenses, his defense is pretty much either middle of the pack, but sometimes a top part of the middle of the pack. Mm-hmm. So I think that and from what I'm hearing, like during his time in Green Bay, he really did not like his defensive coordinator. Or if you've watched Green Bay, their defensive coordinator was so.
Dom Capers.
Yeah, Dom Capers. I was hoping he wouldn't bring him here. Like, he was just... But that's my opinion. There was another thing. Oh, and a lot of people were like, oh, well, why would he take the job? Like, why would he want to work under Jerry? You know what's funny? If you, again, pay attention to how Green Bay's structural organization is, it's relatively similar to Dallas. Like, he doesn't have control over player personnel in that department. You know, when he would... Yeah, like when he was there. So I think the issue wasn't of Jerry controlling it. I think it was just like, hey, do you want the job? And he was like, yeah. And I think that this is a very good move of him. Hey, it's your whole show. Let him get who he wants.
Yep. And from what I understood, Jay Glazer said that the coaches were not forced upon McCarthy. So if there's really definitely a truth to that, then hey, I'm glad that, you know, McCarthy's definitely picking his own coaching staff. So
I think
definitely take that.
Yeah,
and I think Alpha to the chat.
Yeah, what's going on?
I'll go ahead and post the link in the chat in case you want to join in, Fudo. I'm happy with McCarthy. I have a good feeling about it. Glad that you feel the same about that, Jonathan Wilson.
You know, I think this hiring really reinvigorated us as fans because I think, you know, when we've never had a guy. I mean, since Bill Parcells, we haven't had someone step in with experience and has that type of success in the regular season and postseason. Like the only two people that have, I think he's tied with Bill Belichick, not Bill Belichick, Sean Payton for most playoff wins in the decade or something like that, or among I forget the whole number, but I'm pretty sure it's something like that. And but the moral of the story is that he is amongst the upper echelon of coaches in terms of win-loss record. He has a much better win-loss record than Garrett, and
Hey,
yeah, I
when you
agree.
think about it, guys, when you think about it, man, if a Lincoln Riley or Urban Meyer, it would have been a project because no NFL experience, and with us having over 20 free agents, having this this type of coach come in, that makes the players like, maybe I do want to resign and stay here. Maybe I don't want to leave the Cowboys. We got a real coach over here. So you got to think of it that way too.
Something happened. I don't know what happened. I was trying to add Voodoo Apple, but something happened.
He's always got computer issues.
It's all good. But anyways, Mosh, I'm not sure if we're hearing what I was saying, but yeah, what's going on, man?
What's up, fellas?
What's up?
Welcome to the stream, man. And exactly, Urban might be a good motivator, but here's the thing about him and Lincoln Riley. They don't have any NFL experience now that I look back on that. I mean, sure, they can motivate the hell out of a team, but are they going to really understand the whole concepts of the NFL? I mean, they might be good motivators, but you might have to get somebody from the NFL to basically run an efficient offense that is going to be successful for both teams, whether it's offense or defense or special teams.
Yeah, and what's funny is we actually had that project, and his name was Jason Garrett. A lot of people forget about that, and and so, like, he literally had little to no experience other than being a quarterback coach for Miami and being offensive coordinator for the Cowboys for like a handful of years before we hired him. And a lot of people, like, he was like, I'm trying to remember because I remember back then a lot of people were talking to him.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
He was Red Jesus from 2010, from 2007 to 2008. He was Red Jesus.
He was like the next Sean. He was like what Sean McVay was. Like, that's what people looked at him.
Payton was. He was what all the new offensive coordinators.
Yeah, Jerry feared that we were going to lose another version of Sean Payton, which ended up not being the case.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I was, what was it? Also, before I was saying, like, when we look back on it, depending on how well McCarthy does, we're going to be talking about how he was pretty much the Dirk Cutter of I don't want to say the Freddie Kitchens, basically you let go of a coach and you hire this guy because you're worried you're going to lose him.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a lot of Cowboys fans believe we just settled and got the best what was left on the clearance rack at Walmart. That's what it sounds like, and that's what it feels like. Like when you go to a store and there's a clearance rack, you're like, well, shit, this used to cost $100, but it's $20. Or am I going to get the thing that was $30 and it's $20? That's what it feels like. You kind of just settled for what looks the best at the current time, as opposed to actually thinking it over. Montana and I do not like this hire, and him and I are on the same wavelength. You have Sean Payton, which we don't like either, as overrated coaches. And our explanation for that is, how is it McCarthy have 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks and win only 1 Super Bowl? And not just 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, 2 legendary quarterbacks. And
I think it's because, honestly, he relied on his quarterbacks too much. I don't think Ryan Grant was around back then, or he was declining. So, but we have Zeke, who still can be very effective.
To look into it more, because I don't pay attention to the Packers, but it seemed like every time Aaron Rodgers did not play, he did really bad. The team did really bad.
Surprisingly, not get okay with Mike Flynn, actually.
And then Aaron Rodgers pulled a lot of wins out of his ass.
But here's the thing. Well, as an NFL fan, when you're looking at the Packers, the problem was the management of the Packers wasn't. And I'm not trying to create excuses for McCarthy, but this is a reason.
That's they did not like bringing free agent talent.
Yeah, and it really wasn't until the end of it when they were trying to retool everything when McCarthy got canned. And so, like, you know, they were winning a whole lot, but the problem was the front office wasn't really making some good decisions when it comes to these draft picks. Meanwhile, in Dallas, you have those types of, like, you have that type of foundation there, you know, and I think that I think I'm not saying McCarthy's gonna end up being the next I'm not implying he's gonna win like 5 straight championships, but if you take out Bill Belichick, I mean Mike McCarthy, you could argue is one of the better coaches on the market, like with the Sean Payton.
Philly Cowboys 76.
Like that's my thing is like it's so hard to win a championship, and the fact that Mike McCarthy has that long strand of success. Getting rid of Bill Belichick, you know, you can really see where he stands amongst everybody else. So I think this was a really good hire. And I extremely understand your point. And I think he learned that in his time off.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think he's really learned, from what I've understood, he's learned a lot in his time off. I think he's going to learn how to better understand offensive concepts, the importance of a running game, committing to something that actually works, whether it's the pass or run. He's going to learn some little things that really make an offense really goes.
And then I read another article today where they said, well, look at what happens to every second chance coach. And he used Andy Reid as one. Well, until they had Mahomes and still up in the air, Andy Reid has still not done shit. I know playoffs are nice, but, you know, on a Cowboy standard level, we need to get back to the playoffs at a consistent level. But who here would actually say Andy Reid is a successful coach? I know I wouldn't put him up there as a successful coach. So that's another reason why. But everyone does deserve a second chance. Hey, maybe he has time to reflect, like, hey, if I just get one more chance, I know what I could do to make this work. And now we have to give him that chance, and hey, let's give him this chance. It's down to the defense. I was on Montana's stream. I really don't know so much about Nolan, other than what Montana stated was his teams tend to get lots of turnovers. Modern day NFL, it's hard to stop people from getting the yards or even points. But if you could create extra opportunity for your offense to get touchdowns, I think that's a big plus so far.
That's what we needed this year. I think with the offense that we had, if our defense could have generated more turnovers, I think that we would have been in a much better position and we would have been in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it was NFL historically bad.
Oh yeah, it was really bad.
The Cowboys had not just team bad, but I think it was NFL historically bad.
And
let me tell you guys what I want. I want McCarthy to troll Garrett. Come week 1 next year, we're gonna score 6 touchdowns in the game, 42 points, and McCarthy's gonna clap after each one.
Fucking much.
You know what else? I was, because I was running, doing some errands, right? And I was curious to hear I don't watch the sports media, but I love to see how I just love to see how like dumbfounded they are. So before I went in to hear what they said, I already knew how I felt about McCarthy. I thought it was a good hire, and I did my research, right? I already knew everything. I literally am sitting there listening to the talking heads being like, he uses way too much analytics. He's completely dependent on air. Basically, very milquetoast and bland arguments that have no warrant. And I did sketch it. And so, like, I'm listening. I'm like, if you look into it, yeah, he didn't use a whole lot of analytics, and that probably is what caused him to be in the situation he was in. But it's funny because, like, I think the media is dumbfounded that the Cowboys are doing what they're doing. I saw people on frickin' all walks of life just being like, how is it that the Cowboys are not only hiring a pretty good, resume and good coach, and they're letting him pick his staff? Like, it's just like you're living in an alternate reality now. Yeah. And it's just funny because they're just dumbfounded about, oh my God, the Cowboys are doing the right things. So.
Yeah, no, I've could have sworn I was watching one of Mark Holmes' videos. Apparently, some lady was saying, "Oh, he's a terrible hire, blah blah blah, worse than Jason Garrett." I'm like, he can't be any worse than Jason Garrett. No fucking way.
No, Jason. There's no way he's worse than Jason Garrett.
I mean, Jason Garrett has had all the talent, all the time in the world, a lot more than Jerry should have given him, and 3 winning seasons is inexcusable. McCarthy had a heck of a lot more than that.
The key point you just said was time in the world. I don't think anybody gets that much damn time these days.
Yeah.
Wow. It was something you just don't see anymore. So yeah, he needed to be out.
It's also crazy is the fact that McCarthy did a lot of research on the Cowboys and specifically Dak. I mean, if he didn't, I think he really wants to work with. Well, he said he wants to work with Dak.
Good point, I think Cowboy. No one is worth it.
Yeah. And so the thing is, right, is like I said it before on my channel, is that I'm for whatever the head coach wants to do, as long as we get to where we want to go. That's my whole thing. Because if Mike McCarthy, like I said, I'm not expecting a Super Bowl in 2020. I'm not gonna think he's gonna do it if he does it in his first year, I'll be wow. But I think that what we're trying to see is, okay, we need to see, because I'm thinking he's gonna be here for
Barry Switzer had the talent, and he did it his first year.
That is true. That is. I mean, hey, listen, I'm
the Super Bowl because he only did it in the second year. He made the playoffs, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right, because he came in '94.
Gruden did it his first year.
John Gruden did his first.
Yeah, John Gruden did it his first year. Yeah.
Listen, I want my expectations to be blown out of the water. You know what I mean?
I think Max was just trolling around.
Yeah, he's just messing. No, but in all seriousness, though, I want to see us develop consistency, right? Like in this 5 years, can we make the playoffs consecutive seasons? Can we win the division back?
Exactly. Can we have
That's what I'm looking for right now.
That's what I'm looking for too. And I think there's a possibility we could, bearing any injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm about to get off right now because I was actually making dinner. Space Cowboy, open-minded movie man. You know who my free agent darling is? This.
What are you cooking us for dinner?
Yeah, exactly.
Mozzarella stuffed meatballs.
Awesome.
Damn.
Awesome. I'm gonna be having a taco salad.
So, Mosh knows my free agent darling this year. I want to hear Space Cowboys free agent darling, because a lot of people saying
like anybody.
No, just on the free agents, like official free agents from the free agencies that's coming.
No. I'm saying it could be anybody that's coming. Eric Ebron.
Nice. Okay.
I want Eric Ebron.
Because I like to get feedback. He's teaching me about some guy named Chris Jones from Kansas City. I have two guys. One's a darling. One's just a guy that stuck in my brain for a few years now. But my free agent darling, I want on this team bad, really bad, and there's money to do it. Defensive tackle, 6 foot, 345 pound, Michael Pierce from the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, he would be really good.
Yeah, he might. If they do want to switch to a 3-4, he might be the nose tackle in that scheme.
Be a 3-4. That man eats blocks and holds the line, and if you put one-on-one situation on him, he beats it about 80% of the time, and causes disruption in the pocket. We have to have him, and there's money to do it. You could give him Bennett's money, you could give him Quinn's money. If you want to cut Tyrone Crawford, you could give him Crawford's money. He's making $3 million now. Problem is, he hit the open market.
How about we cut you and take your money? Let me get my knife. How much money's in your wallet?
How are you going to respond to that if we do? You there, Voodoo?
Yep. Did we lose him?
I don't know. Maybe.
I think he lost his neighbor's Wi-Fi.
I guess.
He had to go cook us dinner, remember?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm just also I'm kind of laughing at how people were talking about just with the quarterback, right? McCarthy's going to be working with Dak.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, "Oh, that's a massive downgrade from Rodgers." I'm like, you know how old Aaron Rodgers is, and have you watched the Packers like this year? He did not look that impressive.
I mean,
There would be moments where he looked good, but it's like he's on the decline. Dak is rising. Like that was one of his first prime years as a quarterback, and I guarantee you he's going to do special things, especially if McCarthy can get this team. You know, all you got to do is just put the pieces in place and just make sure that all the parts can work. I think this team can.
I think the quarterback. Really well. I think with Prescott, he's going to definitely evolve. And Voodoo's back.
All right. Still there, Voodoo? Shit dropped. I didn't even know it dropped. I'm over there talking to myself for like 2 minutes, I think. Anyway, yeah, those are my two guys, Tajay Sharp and Michael Pierce.
Who's Tajay Sharp? Who's that?
Okay, so he played for the University of Massachusetts. He's related to one of the Sharp family. When I saw him, when I tried to do like my small game study on him when he was still in college, he's a high traffic, congested area catcher. He's a good route runner. The reason why he fell in the draft was because he had a thin frame and no long speed. Fast forward to the Tennessee Titans, he fixed his frame, and his long speed has gotten pretty good also. And there's not many highlights of him with the Titans because, the Titans do have trash-ass quarterbacks, you know what I mean? But I believe he'd be a very good slot player if McCarthy does bring his West Coast offense. I could just see this guy catching balls in traffic and then just going upfield. Dak, problems. But
you got to understand that
his best throws
if Cobb is McCarthy's boy,
right?
He ain't going to be in the slot.
I know, but I'm just saying this is my fantasy right now. This is what I would do to help Dak. Cobb is good, but he seems like he's a piss poor traffic catcher.
I'm thinking McCarthy knows him and got to make him break out even more with our offense.
I agree.
The thing is, Dak's
I think you'll put him in multiple positions because he can be a good number 2 receiver for sure.
And it's crazy because Dak's best passes, for some odd reason, are in traffic. I don't know why. It's like you could have dudes wide open and he'll fucking overthrow them, but in traffic, he squeezes them in there. And Tajay Sharp is a traffic catcher. So that's all I say. I mean, look him up. I posted some stuff in MCF's Discord. If you guys want to look at
Is Tajay Sharp a wide receiver or a tight end?
He's a wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans.
I was like, his name sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure he plays for Tennessee.
Yeah, the thing is, you have to look up like his stuff that he did in college first. Look at his weaknesses. His weaknesses was really his body frame and his long speed. Okay, well, those are things you could fix in the NFL, and obviously he did fix those two things. The thing is, he landed on a team with those two quarterbacks throwing to him. And then his name did stick out again for me when they played against the Saints, and he got 2 touchdowns. One of them was in the end zone, which I was talking about, traffic area catch. And that's one thing I know Cobb seems to have a problem. He doesn't really like catching good in traffic, and that's what Dak is best at, throwing into traffic. So, like I said, I'm going to go finish my dinner and listen to the rest of you guys talk, and thanks for having me on, Open-Minded.
No problem. It's glad to hear some other opinions. We may agree or disagree, but at the end of the day, we're all Cowboy fans.
Exactly. If I was another fan of an NFC East team, I'd be kind of worried what Dallas would be doing, considering the fact that Mike McCarthy is a good head coach and how well he's coached against these teams. Yeah. I'm trying to think what was it? I'm gonna look it up really quickly. His exact records.
Who, McCarthy's or what?
Mike McCarthy's records versus other teams, because I know like he's coached long enough that he can get that type of stat.
Okay. Apparently, before then, Seattle kind of had his way with them, but I know that recently McCarthy kind of had his way against Seattle. I think he's like either 1 or 2 against them, or 2-2. I can't remember.
All right, I got it up here. He is.
Can you put that in the link?
Yeah, it's on the Wikipedia page. I'll put that on the YouTube thing in just a second once I'm done reading this.
Sure.
Let me see. So the Philadelphia Eagles, he is 5-2.
Yep.
Versus the Washington Redskins, he's 3-3. Versus us, 7-3, and versus the New York Giants, he is 5-4. Now, the thing is that includes the playoffs and stuff like that. But like, the thing is I'm not super, like, I'm not saying that's gonna be, I'm not saying that's an indication of how things are gonna go. The only saying if I was another NFC East fan of a team and I'd be worried is because the Cowboys are bringing in a guy that's one of the most experienced head coaches on the market and in the entire NFL. So that's why I would be worried. I'm elated, are you kidding me? Like, I'm excited.
I mean, do you still think he's definitely a better head coach than Josh McDaniels?
Oh, by far. Like, that's not even a question. Josh McDaniels, like, I mean, no disrespect to him, because I'm pretty sure he knows a lot more about football than I do, but I mean, when he went to Denver, his tenure was horrid, and then, it's just crazy, man. So let me put this in the link. It's the Wikipedia page. I'll give you his head coaching record, what he did.
Brando just put Garrett and McCarthy stats up there.
Let me take a look, Jason. Yeah. If I was other two. Do you think he's a better coach than Mike Vrabel? Yeah, he is. I mean,
I think so.
Look, Mike Vrabel. What? Is this his second year or is his first year?
Second year.
He's gone 9-7 twice. He's made the playoffs once, and he beat New England. I mean, to be honest with you, the thing is like you can't, like, Sean McVay, he had a down year, right? So I'm not saying he's garbage, but if you got to look at it in like a 5-year span, right? Is like, okay, so what do you do in 5 years? Like with Jason Garrett, he was like mediocre, and then he had the one good year. So it's like, okay, so he got his job done to get into the team to the playoffs after rebuilding his team. So then they expected him in the next 5 years to win a championship, and he didn't do that. That's why he's not here. Well, that and Jerry's lust for him, but that's another thing. But I do believe that Mike McCarthy is one of the better coaches in the league. When you compare him to other people, and we'll see what happens. I mean, just remember the NFL is going to keep our eyes on us because of Mike McCarthy, and then we're going to see, was he the reason Aaron Rodgers was successful, or was it vice versa?
Because if we do make the playoffs, I have a feeling we might be seeing the Packers in the playoffs. That'd be very interesting.
Oh my God! Can you imagine if we beat the Packers? Like, that'd be great.
Yeah, this time when they face us at home with McCarthy, this time maybe we'll fucking kick their ass for once at home, because I'm so sick of losing to the Packers at home.
Yes, same. I think at this point.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I think at this point, the Cowboys have time on their side. Aaron Rodgers will be out of the league by the time Dak Prescott, is in that late in his mid-20s. Well, he's already in his mid-20s, but like in his late 20s, going into his 30s. And I mean, the Cowboys they have time on their side. The team has now gotten experienced. They're primed and ready for some playoff runs. And I'm really curious to see what they do. I really hope that our main goal is get to the playoffs and get to the NFC Championship game.
Advance past the division, right? If we are able to advance past that and get in the conference championship, that's at least progress for sure.
Yeah,
even if we don't get the Super Bowl, I know that we definitely made some huge strides in comparison to the Garrett years. We showed that we had the ability to elevate ourselves beyond the wild card or beyond the divisional round. That shows how far improved we are as an organization. The players and the talent and the scheme. Yeah, that's just if we are able to do that, that just shows how much of a worthy hire McCarthy was and how much fucking time we wasted with Mr. Carrot Top and Clapper himself. Yeah. I was going to try to say something funny about Clapper, but I don't know if I even want to.
Dude, oh my god, I hope he goes to the Giants. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I would love for us to sweep their asses. Who knows if Danny Dimes is able to adapt to that Air Coryell scheme. So,
oh my god, I would love to see the reaction from Giants fans. If he's going to go there, I think. I think he is.
I know one of my subscribers is actually definitely a Giants fan. He's a huge Star Wars fan, but he's definitely a fan of the Giants. So it's going to be interesting if he definitely does not want Garrett for sure, but this will be interesting if they do want him. But it could be McDaniels for all I know. But they do.
I mean, listen, the Redskins, them hiring Ron Rivera puts them on notice, but I'm curious to see what he does with that roster.
Yeah. I think he might be an improvement on Jay Gruden, but I don't think it's enough.
Well, they did add Jack Del Rio as well, so I think they got a double 1-2 punch there to help them. They just need roster. They hardly have any players. That's
true, and I think that they're gonna probably they have the second pick, so they're gonna get Chase Young probably. So he is one of the best. He's a defensive end or an edge rusher, I should say, from Ohio State. He's one of the best. He was one of the best players in the college football season this year. And I'm not sure if you watch college football, but he was amazing. I know he had the whole thing with the NCAA. So if Mike McCarthy beat the Packers, he'd flip them off and see. That'd be great.
That would be a great Pyrrhic victory right there. Hey, Mosh, I believe you said that we should probably draft a safety with our first round pick.
Well, I'm defense. We got to see. We got so many cornerbacks that are free agents and safeties that are free agents. Our D-line free agents. We need. We're gonna have to see about free agency, who we sign, and then we have to go there. It's way too early to say. You can't pick an actual. Oh, we need safety. Oh, we need cornerback, linebacker, defensive end. We got to see who we get signed back to this team. Who do we pick up in free agency? Blah 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 blah. But yeah, we need a lot of defense.
Yeah. Do you think you can see? Do you see us maybe going after Clinton Dix at the free safety position?
I believe that's the next Packer, so you never know what McCarthy might do.
Hey, whatever he needs to do. I mean, I personally wouldn't bring him in, just because.
Tackling issue.
It depends on the price. To be honest with you, I mean, I think based off of who you have, it's whatever. Mm-hmm. But I do think that the Cowboys. I don't really like talking about the draft now because free agency really will change your perspective on what you're going to do in the draft. That's why I kind of wait until the Cowboys make all their moves and then I start looking at the draft because this is what happened last year. I was like, well, maybe we should go after what did I say? I was like, what was it? I was like, maybe we should go after a tight end, and then Jason Witten comes back, and then it's like, okay, so we don't need a tight end.
Yeah.
How about we get any Alabama Crimson Tide player? Well, which one? You can't just get any because not all of them were fantastic. No disrespect. I think yes, most of them are good, but which one were you thinking of?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. It seems like to me all the cornerbacks in the draft they don't seem quite as fast, so that's why I was thinking getting safety or something. Unless if you can find some, corners like in the later rounds or something like that. I mean, if there was one in free agency, who would actually be a good corner to get in free agency?
I'd have to look at the class. Unfortunately, I'm not.
Chido Beawuzia won't play at free safety. His main option should be maybe slot corner or something like that. Because And hopefully, if Mike Nolan is as good as advertised, he would teach his defensive backs to turn around and look for the ball, because that's something like what Campbell did.
There's a guy that there's a guy that plays for the Crimson Tide. You know, it's funny because I was thinking of a couple guys. What's his name? Oh my God, I think it's Xavier McKinley or something like that, or McKinney. Yeah, McKinney. He looks pretty good. And you know, knowing knowing the history of Alabama, they usually have pretty decent to good safeties. So I would like to go after him or maybe someone else. There's a guy. I think there's a guy from LSU. I don't like to like. I usually wait because who knows? Maybe they trade or get a safety, and I don't really have to worry about safety. So, but we got. I'm really curious to see how they tackle these free agents we have. Like, who do we bring back? Who do we let go? Stuff like that.
Hey, Space Cowboy, tell me your top 5 that. I mean, I can start it. I really want Byron Jones. I want Robert Quinn. Obviously, Dak and Cooper, and then Michael Bennett. I think that's my top 5. So go ahead and give me your list.
Yeah, I was going to ask, who outside of the organization, who would you sign? I know that you want to sign, a certain few of our guys like Jones, Quinn, Cooper, Dak, and all that.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the same. View as much. Look, obviously you have to gauge what he wants. Dak's the number 1 priority. Then you have Cooper, Byron. You definitely have to get Robert Quinn back. Then Michael.
Question is, I guess that depends on what type of scheme Nolan's going to run. If he runs a 3-4, I don't know if they're going to bring Quinn back because Quinn was not a very good outside linebacker. He's strictly a defensive end, foremost in that.
No, I understand that. So I think that and then another person I would think about bringing back would be Bennett, but at the same time, it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, okay, if you can only bring back Robert Quinn, but you lose Michael Bennett, would you make you want to keep a guy that's effective. I think. For me, I would say Randall Cobb over Michael Bennett because Michael Bennett's getting towards the end of his career.
Yeah, he's like 34, 35. I think it might be time to move on. I know he can play both positions, but I feel like we can definitely do a little better.
I mean, at the end of the day, it depends on how the numbers shape up. Like, I think once you sign the main 3, however, and then you possibly get Robert Quinn back if there's enough money. Bring back some guys. I mean, on cheap deals if you can. As for someone in the free agent market, I mentioned Eric Ebron. I think that, and people will say, well, what about Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz? Yeah, they're solid, but I want.
He'd be good for the Falcons.
Oh, I'd love to have him too. I think that I think that Blake can take the top off a defense. Like, we've seen it happen, but I really would love to have that, it's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just because Witten's, not giving us enough playing time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Witten is a good player, but he's still kind of slow, and I think it's honestly time to move on. We need someone faster. I got tired of him. I mean, he can fight for the extra yards, which is really cool. I mean, I'll give Witten that. He has the grit, he has the toughness, but he's not going to be that. He's definitely going to probably be a step slower this coming year. So it's definitely time to get someone who's a little faster. Kind of wish that James Hanna didn't have that knee injury. He would have been a really good tight end.
Oh, he would have been really good. I think he would have. But I'm trying to see what the market is for Eric Ebron because I know many people were talking about his he might go to Dallas. I mean, really, I'm not gonna try and put too much money. You know what I mean? Into the tight end position. What's his? Let me take a look. I just pulled.
I think you and MCF think the same about these Ebron and was it Hooper or something. But if you do that, isn't that almost like bringing Witten back? I mean, what happened to What happened to giving Blake Jarwin a chance?
Well, I don't know. He's not. He's a good receiving tight end, but he's just not a very good blocker. Isn't Hooper at least a good blocker too?
He's decent. He's solid. I mean,
is he better than Jarwin at blocking, or about the same?
He's a bit better, I would say. I mean, the thing, it's just because like I think it's because I know this is kind of the limbo people are in. They're like, do you go after someone that you know is going to be good, or do you trust the guy that you have? And well, me personally, what I would like, you have Blake Jarwin, and then you have another person to go along with him. You could say that's Schultz or whoever. I just don't like Schultz he's really good at blocking, but I just don't like him as a receiving tight end. I don't. I really don't. And I think that
Who are you talking about now?
I'm talking about Dalton Schultz.
Yeah. He also seems to get a few penalties called against him too, so I don't know if he should be kept. That's the thing.
Yeah, and I mean, and hey, listen, everyone's gonna have this conversation because it's like, well, this person didn't look good in this scheme, but maybe he looks better in this scheme.
Yeah.
He's looking at, I'm not trying to say the stats tell the whole story because it was unfair to Jarwin because Witten got in the way, but I mean. But wait, we had Jarwin last year, or I mean, he really only had one breakout game.
That was against the Giants here, pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before then, he was kind of up and down. It was, I think, mainly we were trying to figure out who was really the number one tight end. It was probably, I think, Geoff Swain. I think it was before he got injured yet again. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do my research. I want to just see like who's out there. Is it worth? Because they're saying he's probably gonna be a solid chunk of change on the market. But
yeah, but how is he in terms of blocking? Is he good?
I from what I have only seen a bit of him. I kind of view him as the receiving threat that we've needed for years, right? I mean, let me just take a look because I'm just reading some articles and stuff like that. I mean, he was really good in Indy. I mean, it's just crazy how the Lions just gave him up like that.
Yeah.
I'm just taking.
I'm trying to remember if Ebron was injury prone or something like that. I think I'm probably thinking of another tight end that the Lions drafted. I can't remember who it was.
I think for me, just as a final thought, because I don't want to stick too much on this, I think my only issue with Jarwin, and again, people can attribute that to Witten taking the spotlight, is even when Jarwin was in there would be times where it would be like, oh, he looks pretty good, and then other times it'd be like, I mean, what are we doing with him? You know what I mean? And that could be the scheme or whatever. I think it's the uncertainty that we have with Blake, to where it's like, do you really want to roll with him? And like I said, I'm more concerned about bringing our own guys back because I know Blake's contract's up, I think. So
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I still hold by my stance. I would love to have Eric Ebron, but I prefer we sign our own guys first to determine how much money we have left.
Would you try to make a play for Jamal Adams yet again?
I'd just call the Jets to see what they're asking for. I'm not giving up my first-round pick.
Yeah, they wanted way too much last time.
They wanted way too much in a few players.
I will say this, though. If they say, this isn't going to happen, but the only way I would be willing to consider trading Jamal is if they're like, listen, we just don't want him. We don't think he's part of our future. You can have him. Give him like a second-round pick and maybe a third-round pick in the following year. I'd maybe consider it. But I'm not giving up first-round picks for the dude. It's just because, like, we don't know what this team's going to look like. We don't know if it's going to crash and burn or do well. But, like, this is what I'm hoping. I'm hoping the Cowboys get to a point where they're really good and they can afford to move draft capital around. but right now I'm not. I'm not there yet. So
yeah. Yeah. We have so many. We're gonna definitely have quite an interesting offseason for sure.
oh
Whether it's
yeah,
signing their own players or getting some outside influence, you name it. In the draft, there's definitely going to be some players in the draft, especially on the defensive side of the ball, especially on the D line. I definitely think other than what's the guy's name? Malcolm Pierce. That's the guy that Voodoo recommended.
Was it? I don't.
Malcolm Pierce.
Michael Pierce, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Malcolm Pierce. I definitely think we should still look for another guy in the draft. Something with some similar attributes to Pierce, but actually probably has a little more speed and is younger, and he can be developed over time. I mean, would you still retain Antoine Woods as for a backup?
No.
Or would you just
let him walk. There's no. I'm not. Look, it's not because of the whole. No, it's not because of the weed thing. It's just because I just want us to stop with the bargain basement stuff. I want us to actually invest.
Stop using.
I'm not listen. I have not played football. I'm not trying to diss anyone that's played football, but I'm sorry, but we got to stop with this bargain basement crap. It's really starting to bug me. And I'm hoping
of the whole bargain bin free agent shopping. We need to get some talent. We need to get some people that are still well within the prime and will sign to reasonable deals. Unless if you want to overpay for some elite talent, that's the way to go.
All right, so I'm looking at our free agents. We do have a lot. So now some of them are okay, we know a couple might be brought back just because on cheap deals, because whatever the hell. Amari Cooper, I think you have to bring him back. Robert Quinn, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Lee, I would wait on that. I would wait and see. That's kind of one of those on the back burner ones. If he wants to come, I
think Sean Lee should retire.
I think he should retire, but that's why I'm kind of putting on the back burner.
That's why I would bring back what's his face, Malcolm Smith, I think is the guy's name, the other linebacker.
The linebacker, yeah, I like him. I think that he can, but not for long. I think that he'll be solid. Let me take a look. Obviously, we'll bring back Dak. I'm just trying to eliminate the big names. Okay. Who else was it? Trying to make sure I've got everyone down. Okay.
He would probably be one of them, I guess. Would you bring him back, or just bring him back in the backup?
I would bring him back as a backup, or on a 1-year prove-it deal or whatever. So let's just So I think that the big four are Amari Cooper, Robert Quinn, Byron Jones, and Dak Prescott. Now, and then after that, then you have guys and this is why I'm kind of not too worried about the free agency period, but if we handle it right, we'll be fine. You have guys like Randall Cobb, Jason Witten, Michael Bennett, Jeff Heath, Joe Thomas, Malik Collins, Anthony Brown, who else? Christian Cutler. Tavon Austin, Kerry Hyder. I'm looking at this. A lot of these guys are you only really have, and I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't bring any. That's stupid because obviously you want to bring some of them back on cheap deals. Mm-hmm. But the free agency period, I think, is really up to what Dallas wants to do. If they want to get other people to fit the new coach. And you really only have 4 main guys that you really have to bring back, and typically the Cowboys only bring back between 3 to 7 guys a year.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the Spotrac one. Okay, here's the list. Would you bring back Michael Bennett? Yes or no?
That depends. I mean,
you said yes for Robert Quinn, right?
Yes. The 4 I'm for sure bringing back or trying to are Cooper, Quinn, Byron, and Dak.
What about Cobb? Does it depend as well?
Cobb is yes. It depends on the deal he wants.
Apparently, they have Jason Garrett as a free agent.
I mean, he technically is. Yes, I'm on it as well.
And hopefully, he stays that way. Unless if he goes to the Giants, I'd be happy to kick his ass twice, a couple more times. They're sweep him, yeah. Then we have Jason Witten. I'd say yay or nay.
No,
Probably
I'm not
nay.
bringing him back. No offense, Jason, but your time's
Yeah.
over.
And it says Cameron Fleming's a free agent. I thought he signed a 2-year deal. I guess I'm wrong.
I think it's an option year. Or wait, when did he sign? No, he signed. No, yeah, it's an option year. So I mean, well, the Cowboys. How it works is that the Cowboys have a choice to pick up his option. He has two. You know what I mean? Like it's like a 1-year deal, but he has 2 other years on it that the Cowboys can choose to pick up on if they want to.
Yep. But would you bring him back? It's yay or nay, or just depends.
On who? I'm sorry.
Fleming.
Yeah, I'd bring him back.
Okay. John Lee was definitely a no, right?
John Lee's a no, unless you know.
What about Christian Covington? Yay or nay?
No.
Nah.
He didn't. He didn't do enough to
Yeah,
be like,
he
oh
didn't
yeah.
impress me. Byron Jones, you would say yes. Hopefully, it's for a team-friendly deal, right?
Yes, he wouldn't be my first one to go to unless like he's taking a cheap deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hopefully he will, because he missed the last game. So, but all things considering, we did very well without him.
Yeah. Then again, we were playing Washington, so that's not saying much.
Yeah, you said yes to Jeff Heath in the backup role, pretty much, right?
Yep.
What about Joe Thomas? Would you bring him back? He's an inside linebacker, apparently.
Yes, I'd bring him back. He's really good on special teams.
Okay, what about Tavon Austin? Yay or nay?
No, I'm not bringing back Tavon.
And they say LP Ladosor, but I thought he was going to retire. I thought he was gone.
I don't know what he's. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do. To be honest with you, I think they might throw him a 1-year deal, and then they'll just be like,
Yeah. What about Kerry Hyder? I would say no.
no. It's just
Kai
this
Forbath?
is what I always say. Because I could go through the whole list. Literally, I say if they are a backup, but they didn't do enough to really present themselves to you to be good, don't even bother bringing them back. That's always been my opinion.
Yeah.
Just trying to
And Hyder didn't really do much. I mean, occasionally he did okay, but honestly, I would go with someone else.
I'm trying to look at the contracts for like the top cornerbacks or whatever. That's what I'm looking for. Really curious to see what we're looking at.
Okay. Would you bring Kai Forbath back for competition?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Kai Forbath, he had all of his field goals. He looked a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, like 9 for 9. Somebody said it was 10 for 10.
He was 10 for 10.
Yeah. Oh, Billy Booth had to come in here, that little fucker.
I'm looking at Xavier and Howard.
Thank you for timing it out, South Mosh.
Brando got him too.
Okay, cool. I'm looking at this deal. Let me ask you guys this: How much would you be willing to pay Byron Jones? Because it looks the highest paid cornerback in the league right now is Xavier Howard from Miami. Okay, he has an average cap hit. I'm just bringing up the average cap hit because that's really what matters. I mean, he on average makes $15 million a year, but the cap hit's about 13, 14 mil. I think the most I'm willing to pay is between 10 and 12.
I was gonna say maybe 8 or 9 million because he doesn't.
And now with Nolan being here, is that his type of guy that he wants to work with, or does he just want to? Man, let me go grab my own secondary.
That's the thing. Is like I think that what Byron. For me, that's why he's my wait and see guy. Because if he's asking for Xavier Howard type of money, nah. Like if he's asking for, if he's asking for like a bit cheaper, by all means. Like the most I'm willing to pay for him is like 11 mil. To be honest with you, he hasn't done much to be like, yeah, I want him. And that's not just because he doesn't get interceptions. I mean that's part of it, but it's because. Really, Byron only had like one solid. I mean, he's been decent, but he's only had one really, air quote, breakout year. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you said Malcolm Smith was a yes for backup purposes, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Would you bring back Malik Collins?
No. Unless it's a cheap deal.
Yeah, same way. Unless if he might be better as a 3-4 defensive end. I wonder if he
So
would be
Space
good.
Cowboy, you do understand that. I think according to what you said, it's Law, Quinn, and then basically you're starting all over.
Well, no, it's because the thing is like I like I mentioned before, I want us to get the main core locked down before we think about like look, if you're paying your top 3 guys, and that's assuming you're bringing back Quinn, and Quinn's going to ask for a lot of money, that's where you have to make these tough decisions, right? Because let me look it up. Because yeah, like I know it sounds like I'm like that's because like I'm assuming that they're asking for more money, but like if they're asking for minimum deals, I don't have an issue with bringing some of these dudes back. It's just because like I just want to make sure I'm explaining myself properly. Like those are my main priority guys. Like okay, these are the guys I'm not going to talk to right now, but once I get everyone else out of the way, I'm willing to go and bring these guys back as backups, if you get what I mean. It's just because it's like, there are higher priorities on the totem pole. I mean, where was it? Like last,
Go ahead.
No, like last year, I mean, you only brought in 4 guys, on really cheap deals, and then you re-signed a couple role players, and the big contract of the offseason. We're not talking about like before training camp, like with Jalen and Lyell, which have been proven. Well, Lyell, that was an amazing contract. Well, right now it's looking like they did a good job of locking him up.
Yeah.
But I mean, let me take a look. I mean, you lost a lot of players in the offseason. I mean, well, let's see. Let me look on. I mean, Damian Wilson, Karan Reed, David Irving, Dante Jones. You cut Taco, for God's sake. I mean, like that did anything. I mean, 2018 is the same thing. I mean, I just hope they know what they're doing. Because we lost a lot of players in 2018, and we typically lose a lot of players from year to year.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how the...
Suafilo, would you keep him or no?
Xavier Suafilo, only on a cheap deal.
Yeah. And this Ray Armstrong, what is he?
I don't know who the hell he is, but look, I think that for me, it's not about who I want to keep, it's about who I'm focused on retaining. Because I want you to think about this, right? Because I put the numbers in. Let's assume that Dak gets $34 million a year. Let's assume that Amari gets $19.5 million a year. Let's assume that we bring back Robert Quinn for $11 million a year. Because, by the way, that's the market you're looking at. You're left with, and this is before we get a bump, $17 million in cap space. So, I said I would like to have Eric Ebron, but with that kind of cap space, I'm more focused then on getting the key role players. You see what I mean? Like, that's where you're going to have to make your hard cuts, because I think that, based off of how I'm looking, I think that the only way Byron's coming back is if he takes a cheap deal.
Yep.
So
I mean, I would think you probably want to resign, like you said, resign some of your core players that are going to actually be good and contribute, and then maybe offer a few, cheap deals to the role players that are going to be at least decent backups.
Give me one.
Cowboy, what about we got Xavier, and Fleming, and Looney.
Mm-hmm.
I think Looney's still okay for now. I think.
Looney, I think is. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna take a look. I think Looney's under contract still, but
yeah.
I think what's gonna happen is you're gonna have Looney probably walk because he's shown he can have potential as a starter, and someone will throw starter level money at him. As for Xavier, no one might like. I get your point, Maj. I do agree. Like, I would not I don't hate Xavier. I don't hate Cameron. I would love to have him back as backup roles, but I think that I think the Cowboys have some tough decisions to make. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that what's up, Voodoo Space Cowboy? Do you stay with Intel or go Ryzen? The current computer I have is Intel, but I will be switching to Ryzen when I build my next one. So, just as a heads up. I love building computers, by the way. So.
Yeah, great. Wow, that's great, man. Good hobby to have, and probably cheaper way.
Yeah, I mean, my current rig's fine. It's 5 years old, but I think I gotta do I think I gotta make another one.
Oh, by the way, definitely no to Darian Thompson, right? Don't bring him back, right?
Oh, I wouldn't mind bringing him back.
Really? He was disappointing.
No, he was solid in certain locations. I mean, listen, look, I'm not gonna and I'm not trying to deflect or anything. I'm just being honest. Like, I'm not gonna say like, oh, we need to bring back every single free agent and say, oh, I don't care if we bring them back. It's more like my thought process to free agency has always been, okay, focus on your key players, and then the people that go out into the free agency market, I mean, let them test it, and then worst case scenario, you throw a cheap deal at them. You know what I mean? I think that's how the Cowboys have usually approached free agency, but I mean, we'll see what happens, man. I just hope that once we get this coaching staff in place, the next big thing is getting these contracts done. They have to get them done.
Yep. Okay, Justin March, definitely a no, right?
Who? Justin March, you said? Oh, I'd bring him back. He's a good special teams player. Kind of same with Joe Thomas.
Though I do think Joe Thomas is better than March for sure.
I mean, he is, but again, special teams was a part of the game that we failed at, and I think that was poor. Yeah. That's what goes back to coaching. But I think that you gotta, a lot of people kind of, sleep on special teams. Like, that's a huge important part. Like, I remember one year there was a team, I think it was the Chargers a couple years back. Like, their special teams were so bad that they literally failed as a team. That's how bad they were. Like, all the fumbles and stuff. Yeah, so like that's why I'm like, hey, we need to make sure everything's all good.
And CJ Goodwin, he's actually 30. Bring him back or no?
What's up? I'm sorry.
CJ Goodwin, bring him back or no? He's
no.
30 actually.
No, I mean, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna probably give you like, if I kind of question it, don't bring him back or don't focus on him until later.
Yeah. Daniel Ross, defensive tackle, bring him back or no? Just with the jack.
Maybe. Yeah, I'll object to that.
Anthony Brown, keep him or no?
Hell no, he can walk. Yeah. I mean, look, I think that the Cowboys, for me, I think that the Cowboys just need to, this goes with like the defensive line or any position in football. Once you have your core player or players, you just draft the rotational players, if that makes any sense. So, like, for example, like, you get a guy like back then, like, if you get a guy like a Patrick Peterson, Darrelle Reeves, like, really all you got to do is draft solid guys around him and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I wonder if we should. I often wonder if we should go after Peterson and make him a free safety, kind of like how the Packers did with Woodson. That'd be interesting.
Nah, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
It's just because like we have a lot of cap space that's going to be eaten up by Dak and Amari's contracts. You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely.
I'll probably be on for like 10, 15 more minutes. I'm gonna head out.
Gotcha. What was I gonna say? Definitely. Would you say yes to Kevon Frazier, or just move on from him, especially with his kind of injury?
He's been injury prone.
And he has a blood issue, or I forget what it was called. He has some kind of health issue with him, or something about blood clot or something. I don't remember. Yeah, he's too much of a liability. So yeah, it's time to move on from him. Maybe that's where I guess you can say you can bring back Darian Thompson for special teams or something like that. Cooper Rush, would you bring him back, or would you try to go after a guy like, what's the guy? Guy for the Redskins. What was his name? Case Keenum. Would you have Cooper Rush or Case Keenum as a backup?
I'd rather have Case Keenum, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I definitely would too. Definitely no to Cooper Rush. He's definitely kind of the weak person. And I would still go after
Well, wait, but then again, like he hasn't really shown up a whole lot, so like you know, like I would prefer. Listen, I think that the Cowboys should just go get a veteran guy on the free agent market just to have behind Dak just in case. Yeah, Voodoo, I completely agree. Building a team's like building a computer. You find out what kind of parts your PC needs, build around it. Gaming PC, you start with the GPU. Well, technically, you start with the motherboard because the motherboard really dictates on what the hell kind of parts you can really put into it, and also the case, more or less. But I get, huh?
The motherboard, eh?
Well, yeah, the motherboard is the primary. Not to divert, but no, like you need, the motherboard is the foundation for the parts you put around them. You know, well, you could argue that's the case, or the tower, but that's a whole other thing.
He says Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater is going to be a starter. Like I think he's gonna start at somewhere.
Yeah, I won't be surprised with that. You definitely said no on Antoine Woods, and Adam Redmond, center, probably didn't really show much, so yeah, probably no on that, right?
Oh, what on Antoine, you said?
Well, that and Adam Redmond, the center, the backup center.
Yeah, they can walk. I mean, like, because the Cowboys do it every year. They let a bunch of the 1-year deal guys walk. They'll bring in new people. They'll get undrafted free agents. They'll replace them.
Yeah. And we may have some potential in Connor McGovern, so yeah, there's that. Just hopefully he doesn't tear another pec.
Yeah. Eli Manning. No, I'm not. No, he's retiring, dude. He's retiring.
Yeah, I'd say he's gone. I say he's retiring.
Breaking news: Mike McCarthy's bringing back Favre to back up Dak.
Oh God.
Right.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious. Just be like, and then he complains.
He might be a good quarterback coach, I think. I always wondered if Favre can be a good quarterback coach. Just tell him not to be like you and throw a bunch of interceptions at crunch time. Billy laughed at that? Okay.
No, sorry. I'm sorry. Someone was texting me.
Yeah, just don't throw crucial interceptions when it comes to.
Yeah, sounds like a other certain person, not the hate on him, but. But let me just see what's going on the internet. Does anybody know? Pick what's going on? Because I know they're might be.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying they're looking at another running backs coach, from what I'm hearing.
I heard it was Edgar Bennett, supposedly. I don't know if that's true.
I have no idea, unfortunately.
If that's true, that's a McCarthy signing right there.
Yeah. I mean, then again, like I said, I don't mind what McCarthy does. Let him do his thing.
Yeah, let him get the people he knows he can trust. Don't force don't have the buddy system or the country club atmosphere, if you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
So,
remove the Teddy Bridgewater. I'm tired of looking at his name.
Oh, I thought I removed his name. Damn it. Sorry about that. Where is it? That's still highlighted. Okay.
30 minutes later.
Okay. Bring back Tony Romo and Brett Favre.
Did you guys see what Dez said on freaking Twitter about Garrett? I was laughing my ass off. It was hilarious.
He said he didn't feel sorry for Coach Garrett.
he's like I don't have any sympathy for Coach Garrett. Cowboys are now legit Super Bowl contenders. I'm like, damn. But no, look, I will tell you this. Garrett,
wow. No more keeping his mouth shut, huh?
Yeah. Look,
we probably should bring him back as a tight end, right?
No, but look, I will say, Garrett, from what I've seen, great dude. He's a nice guy. He's not an a-hole. But when it comes to, I have no sympathy in regards to the coaching part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's my thing. Is like I don't have any sympathy in regards to the job. I have as a person. It's like no, I like look. It's funny because I actually saw him when I went down to Dallas, and he was pretty cool. Like he wasn't like, oh whatever. But then again, maybe my luck, me going down to Dallas got him fired. Who knows?
Nah, it was just another typical business decision by Garrett.
Listen, we're gonna evaluate. We're gonna look back at it. We're gonna try and improve in all 3 phases of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, just the same robotic shit ever. I'm just fucking glad I don't have to hear that bullshit anymore. Or as typical, how we doing, guys?
How we doing, guys?
How we doing, guys?
I'm not sure if you guys heard this, but did you guys hear about how apparently the reason they had the 3 meetings was because Jason was trying to lobby for his job and he kept saying no? I'm not sure if you guys.
I heard rumors that he was begging for it. Was he gonna blow Jerry Jones again?
Oh God.
Was he gonna be riding his strap on to Kingdom Come?
Yeah.
Or is it because he had some pictures of Jerry doing some weird shit or something?
I don't freaking know. I'm trying to see. Oh my God, I'm just trying to look on Twitter. A lot of people were like, "Ah, damn it! I can't believe you let the Cowboys get Mike McCarthy." All this other stuff.
I mean, was there any really chance he was going to even go to Browns or even the Giants? Probably not, because they don't have the exact...
He interviewed with the Panthers twice. He interviewed, I think, with the Browns once, the Giants once, and...
He interviewed with the Panthers twice. I wonder what went wrong on the second day. I guess they didn't like what he had to say.
I don't know. Maybe they just felt he wasn't the guy. But I'm really, I think the Cowboys got really lucky. And I think that's what they needed. I think that they were lucky. I think this is one of those if they wanted a guy with experience last year, I don't know who they would have gotten. But this year, I think that not gonna lie, looking like hindsight's 2020, obviously, no pun intended. But I think that the Cowboys not extending Garrett and then looking I was watching or listening to a couple other people. They were like, well, I'm kind of shocked that the Cowboys didn't interview other people. Like, why didn't they interview Lincoln Riley? It's like, listen, when you have someone that you know that you can work with and he gives you a good plan, and you gotta get it, you gotta think about it, right? You're bringing in this dude, his resume.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that on the first interview, they were like, or on the first day, they were like, okay, I like what you see. And then they were trying to keep him here. So, I mean, I'm not mad. I mean, hey.
Just for fun, that's all.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm just trying to see, I don't see any news on a offensive coordinator hiring. The only thing I know is we got his basically the only 3 things that I've gathered. We have Mike McCarthy, we got Mike Nolan, and Chris Richard is probably not coming back. Those are the only 3 things that I know of.
Today on MCF, what was it? 4 p.m. That there's been talks of maybe putting Richard in a position if he wants it and don't get a head coaching job.
Okay, yeah. I mean that's okay. That's
yeah.
Yeah, it just because, and thanks for letting me know that much, because I know earlier this day they said he wasn't probably bringing him back. Would I bring him back? I don't know. I think it just depends on how I think the staff looks. And like I said, if Mike McCarthy wants to bring him back, I'm all cool for it. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get pissed. If he wants to bring back Kellen Moore, yeah, Because at the end of the day, he has to make a roster that works for him. You know what I'm even more excited for? What he's going to do with his new air quote analytics department. That's going to be awesome. Because he said he wants to have a 14-person team working in terms of football technology, and then he wants to have an 8-person team working in terms of analytics for in-game decision making. And I think that we're finally going to be at that point where we're back in the curve of things. We're having analytics, because listen, we needed this, we needed someone that would do it. Like if no one was, I was like, what was it? Like the thing that officially outside of what happened in those games with Garrett, the thing that really turned me off with Garrett was when he said, "Oh, we don't do that. We just look at the film and determine what we got to do." It's like, come on, man.
You got to do more than just break down film. You got to analyze and see what went wrong and why it didn't work efficiently and why this play didn't work or whatever the reason being is. You got to analyzation.
Brando, why the hell would we bring in Tom Brady? He did not look good at all this year. Come on, man. Don't be like that. You're probably joking, but like, dude, don't do that.
Yeah. I honestly would say it's time for Brady to retire for good.
He's not going to, though.
Oh, yeah. His little ego is going to drive him to think that he can, I have a few more years in me. I can get to the Super Bowl yet again. Yeah, right. Be interesting if we do face Brady in the Super Bowl and we kick his ass. That'd be fucking awesome.
Dude, he's 1-3 versus the NFC. I wouldn't be shocked if we kicked their ass.
I mean, I think McCarthy's done pretty decent against the Patriots, right? I know he's won against I think McCarthy's done okay against the Patriots, right? He's won like 1 or 2 games against them. I think
he's like what is he? He beat him in 2014. That I remember. I gotta look it up. In 1 second. But to be honest with you, that's not really gonna matter once Brady and Belichick kind of go away. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let me take a look.
Yeah, he threw for 24 touchdowns and 8 picks, which isn't bad, but
he's 1-3 versus New England.
McCarthy.
The only one was in 2014 when they were at home.
Oh wow, sweet. See, how did they? I'm curious as to how well they did at home against them. Ooh, 2014 Green Bay Packers. Yeah, how badly did McCarthy kick your ass, Brady?
Listen, the Cowboys have more W's than the Eagles because we got our first W with bringing in a great head coach.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. A great offensive-minded coach that would better utilize the talent.
By the way, if I ever hear people say, like, I'm not trying to divert to this topic, but if I have to listen to say that, of course Wentz is better than Dak Prescott. Dude, listen, I get it, he got hit in the back of the head. That stuff happens. I feel like it was a helmet-to-helmet contact hit, but dude, come on. 9 minutes of playoff experience, and he was 1 for 5 or 1 for 4, 3 yards. That's kind of, like, again, like, you can't...
Yeah. Wentz was unimpressive, to say the very least.
Like, I was watching the start of that game. I turned it off because I knew the Seahawks were going to win after he went out. I was like, why is it, like, he just looks so, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, what the hell?
Do you think, McCown looked better than him?
Well, no, I think that the game plan was good enough for Wentz to execute it, and McCown did it, like, look, the reason why, listen, Wentz is a solid QB. I would be kidding myself if I said he wasn't. But he has a coach that makes a game plan. Like, when I went to the Eagles game, the game plan was super simple. There was screen passes, run the ball, intermediate passes, and a couple shots here and there, and you win. It worked with McCown. They didn't nearly win the game because they were behind. But they could have won that game with McCown, to be honest with you, but they just got.
It seemed like they would have some good drives, and then McCown just couldn't seem to connect or just get it, or just get those those conversions that were absolutely necessary.
Now I'm about to head out, and before I do, well, first thank you for having me on, Mosh. It's awesome talking to you, as always.
Hey, I'm really glad you want to come over about that, man.
No,
yeah,
but
subscribe to Open Minded Movie Man.
yes, please subscribe up to this.
Space Cowboy 17.
Thank you. But
That's how to have an 88 guy.
yeah, yes. Make sure you subscribe to Mosh. But remember a couple years
Hey,
back.
Voodoo, I'm sure you're listening. Hit me up later, Voodoo, about my microphone. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
But okay, a couple years ago, remember the 2014 draft? A lot of people were like, "Oh, the sexy pick was Johnny Manziel," and the Cowboys will do it; it'd make them better. And then they got Zach Martin, and people were like, "What the hell is this? That's such a safe pick. That's not." But it was the smart pick. It feels like the same thing. Same thing with the coaching staff. The Cowboys made Cowboys made a smart decision here. I heard Stephen Jones had some influence on this.
Yeah, exactly.
But
He's the one on the jury not to take Manziel, and I'm glad he did because Manziel was a complete bust.
Listen, man, if Mike McCarthy gets this team rolling, like let's say he doesn't win the Super Bowl the first year. Let's say he makes the playoffs in 3 straight years and we win a Super Bowl in that time period and we make the NFC Championship game twice, something like that. Mm-hmm. Mike McCarthy could possibly, and depending on what the Packers, like I said earlier in the show, they could be talking about how, wow, maybe it was Aaron Rodgers that was the problem, not Mike McCarthy. And you know how crazy. Not only would that satisfy me for us winning a championship and all that other stuff, but to just show that this guy was responsible for the Packers' success, that would be amazing, especially if he were to beat him. But all right, guys, I'm gonna head out. I'll talk to you guys later.
Take care, Space Cowboy 17. Check him out, and thanks for stopping by. Peace.
Right on. Space Cowboy 17. Appreciate it.
Yep. Yep. Anybody but Garrett. I think this was actually a good Monday for once. Hey, Mush, we get a live stream later on tonight?
Possibly, man. It'll probably be on one of my backup channels, but I think you're subbed to them all because I'm running out of StreamYard already on my main one. But had some great live streams over there.
Yep. But yeah, I definitely think the future is going to be bright for this team, depending on whatever happens. If we at least get some really good players in their prime that can still produce, I do think we have a good shot of making the playoffs and advancing past the divisional round. But the Super Bowl, that's another story. We definitely have a far talented roster than what Garrett was able to do with it. So yeah. I mean, now I believe 2020 is definitely the year of change, and it was a very necessary change. It was the smart thing to do. It wasn't, like the sexy or the flashy coach that we wanted, but I think, we got a very innovative head coach in Mike McCarthy. I think we're definitely going to be doing some great things. There's going to probably be some, bad games once in a while, but it's not going to be, anywhere near where the players are just lacking emotion and just lethargic and, looking completely undisciplined and not going through fundamentals, as Dallas Cowboy fan 1980 would say. Fundamentals of tackling, blocking, throwing behind receivers or dropping balls, you name it. I do think that we're going to definitely improve on this year. How much? It's definitely up to the coaching staff and the players themselves. But we got a very creative and innovative mind in Mike McCarthy, so he's not to be underestimated.
Well, hey, man, you're almost at the 2-hour mark. I'm going to get off here for a few, so maybe I'll see you a little later on.
I'm going to probably get off as well, too. Maybe I'll join you on one of your backup streams. So I appreciate you much for coming in. It's always a pleasure. And for everyone else, thanks for stopping by. And you know what they say, 1980 says, make sure you stay cowboy prayed up because you never know what's going to happen. Later, everyone. Bye-bye.